All right, guys, so I'm bringing you a quick one today regarding something new that I'm going to be implementing into my reviews moving forward. Now, the sharpness level from our blades, when we open them up, factory sharpness out of the box is something that's, I think, is uber important within the entire sword and knife community. Now, you guys know on my channel, I review a multitude of different types of items under one roof. You have certain channels that do all swords and certain channels do all knives or all pocket knives. I'm pretty much bringing everything all into one roof. So there are many different types of level of sharp that we're accustomed to seeing or want in certain types of blades. Now, the whole presentation that I give you on my swords and knives is very high tech, very cinematic, very detailed. But I go beyond that and I give you demos. I test everything out. I don't just show you pretty pictures and say they look good. I also show you how they work at the best of my abilities, right? Whether it be a sword, a pocket knife, a fixed blade, large, small, whatever. I try to show you demos. Now, nothing there is pretty much scientific in terms of the testing. It's pretty much just demonstrations into different types of elements just to give you an idea of how the things work so you can formulate your own opinion as far as if the sword or knife or blade, whatever it is, works well for you or not. Something that I implemented early on in reviews years ago that I'm trying to bring back into the mainstream is showing you a more scientific approach in showing you the sharpness level of an edge before and after cutting. Now, obviously, we're cutting paper, we're cutting different types of materials, and you can get a mental idea of what the sharpness level is out of the box, seeing how it performs. I'm trying to go a step further and give you something a little bit more scientific, okay? This is a product that's provided from Edge On Up. It's made from Sharp. This is actually the PT50A. This is more the professional use one. This gives you a method of showing you the grams of pressure that it takes for a blade to actually get through the string and cut the string. And depending on if it has high grams of pressure, then it's less sharp. If it has a very low grams of pressure, then it means it's ultra sharp. And I do have a reference guide that came with this item, this product, that shows you that we can reference how sharp it actually is according to a scale. Obviously, this is not the end-all be-all to show you how sharp something is out of the box, and it's just a great, handy method and something else that we can implement into review and make it more valid to show you really how sharp certain edges are out of the factory. There is margin of error depending on how you use this. You can use it incorrectly and run the blade too fast, and it'll give you inaccurate sharpness level. You really have to cut through the string as slow as possible until it actually cuts, and it'll give you a much more accurate representation of how sharp that edge is. So I will be implementing this as much as possible into my reviews to give you a little bit more science along with the actual demos that I'm showing you to show you how sharp certain things are. Listen, guys, who are we kidding? We always want our stuff sharp. We want to open everything out of the box and not have to worry about stropping or honing. We want a sharp knife, a sharp pocket knife, a sharp sword. We want things that are going to be very, very sharp out of the box. We don't want dull. We don't want almost sharp. We want sharp. And this is just another method to show you how sharp that is, and you can make that decision yourself. So, guys, as an added bonus in this video, I want to go and show you two items that are going to be on the chopping block, something that's going to be reviewed very soon, just to give you an idea of how this thing works. First one is going to be a Dragon King sword. This is the Autumn Leaf. This was provided to me from Cat Siberia. I think it feels pretty sharp, but let's run it through the sharp tester and see exactly how sharp this thing is out of the factory edge. You have the thread. It's a little faint to see, but you have the thread here. It's got to be very tight. It comes out of the bottom. It gets tightened up by these two knobs over here. And basically you got to run, I think you can see thread right there. You got to kind of cut right through and see how much pressure it takes to get through it. Now you notice basically when we put this on, and it's kind of 7 because I'm holding it, but you notice how we push it down, how basically the pressure goes up and down. This is like 2,222 by pushing it down, but we could always zero it out when we're ready to go. But you know, while you're holding it, always that's how sensitive it is actually with the grams per pressure. But what we're going to do is we're going to put this on here, and before we actually start, we're always going to have to zero this out. All right, so basically the idea, guys, is to kind of balance this out. We're going to go to the upper 2/3, pretty much where this thing gets cut with all the time. We're going to make sure we zero it out, and We're going to kind of put this through as slow as possible. I'm looking at the counter. It says 0. I want to make sure it says 0 up until I cut with it. So let's put it through very, very slowly. Okay. So the actual sharpness level of this right now, this sword, as is, I'm going to try not to move it, is at around 129. And I'm going to show you what exactly that means. Sharpness level here, you notice that anywhere between 100 and 200 is about utility razor. It's a razor blade. It's pretty much razor blade sharp. And this coming in at 129, which is closer to 100, is as close to being razor blade as possible. So what you're seeing here on this Dragon King sword is pretty much a razor blade style edge, which is really what you want in a katana. Now, did I know that from cutting paper? For the most part, but at least you got a little bit more of a scientific method to show you exactly how sharp this Dragon King sword came out of the box, and it's pretty much at 129 is an excellent rating to show you a edge that's pretty much razor blade sharp. So more of a testament as far as what Dragon King is delivering to you, to giving you a razor sharp edge before you even cut with it. Next one we're going to do, guys, is a Spartan Blades. It's a collab between William Harsey and Spartan Blades. This Kukri, it's fantastic. I'm not going to review it right now, but we're going to basically see how the edge of this Spartan blade comes factory to you before we do any cutting with it whatsoever. I know I feel that it's pretty sharp, but let's run it through the sharpness tester and see how the factory edge is on this. We're going to try like kind of right here, which is probably right in the middle. I'm going to zero this out one more time, make sure it's zeroed, and we're going to go very, very slow. Okay, so I did it as slow as possible. Very impressive. This came in at 166 in terms of the sharpness level of this Kukri, pretty much right around the middle of the blade right here. So now we're going to kind of try to test the sharpness level right here, which is a different part of the blade where you're going to be doing a lot of bushcrafty stuff. All right. So that, doing it as slow as possible, it cut the thread at 127, and that's even sharper than the level we got here. So again, this is a little bit sharper, more closer to a razor blade sharpness, because anything at around 100 and under is ridiculously sharp, like hair popping sharp. Sharpness level of this Kukri out of the box is fantastic at the 127 here and around 160 something here. So very impressive in terms of, even before use, how sharp the level is. Scientifically, that's the grams of pressure. That's how sharp this thing is. You would expect it to be, for the most part, when you get a Kukri from Spartan Blades. Both came in at pretty much razor blade sharp, and I'm not lying, that's a science tester there. So great representation from Dragon King and his Autumn Leaf, and excellent representation of this Spartan Harsey Kukri from Spartan Blades. Okay, reviews coming soon on both these guys. Let me know what you think about this new implementation of the science behind the grams of pressure with this sharp tester, and if you think it's going to be a valid way of me showing you scientifically how sharp the edges are factory out of the box.